Zombieland. Your presence was quiet in Zombieland. When nobody got a plan.
Hello, everybody. We are here today with our first installment of the brand new Dominic Santana show. And we are going to be getting into dropping some gems, telling some great Hollywood stories, and just stories about life and what we learned from life and the wisdom and some cool and funny shit. I have a special guest in the building with us today. And so, I mean, you guys can't clap from where you are, but, you know, if you are listening to this or watching this, just clap where you're sitting right now. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Jamie.
It's what I do, baby.
We have Atkins Estimond in the building today. You might know him from Lodge 49, or you might know him from the hit series Hightown as the badass Osito. Say what's up to the people for us.
What's going on, everyone? How is everyone doing? Thank you for tuning in.
Now, one thing, first of all, thank you for gracing our show.
Absolutely.
This isn't like some media shit. Like,
No, yeah.
This is a real thank you, because you could have easily you've been working your ass off, so you could have easily been like, dude, we're at the tail end, because he's finishing up filming on season 3 right now. And so he was, he graced us with his presence, right after work came here. So
Straight out of the trailer, I was like, get me home. I got to get on the show.
yeah, he's a real one. So I own one now. I own one. So if you start a show, I'm on it.
Yes, nice.
You're a smart dude. I think you should too.
Yeah,
You got a great
absolutely.
voice.
Yeah. I've heard that before, so I need to put some actual effort behind it.
Yeah,
I know
man.
an engineer.
Hey, there we go. Yeah, we're on. Yeah.
That's Jamie Henson's voice that you're hearing.
Oh, they're gonna see my face too.
Oh,
right?
they see? Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm Batman.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
So you guys see Jamie at some point there, but that's Jamie Henson, also in the building, running the show for us.
Yeah.
But again, thank you so much for being here with us.
Absolutely.
This show, I was determined, because I did another show before that I loved with great people. I wanted to do a show that wasn't interview focused. I didn't want that. I didn't want the bait and hook thing.
Yeah.
But I really started thinking of, there's a couple of people that when they heard I was doing it, they were like, dude, you gotta let me be on your show.
Yeah,
but they're really like interesting people.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want anybody just, you got a movie coming out or a show coming out, let me come ask you the same bullshit questions everybody else
plug some
is.
stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
I love talking to interesting people, because I myself, the inspiration for this show was, one of the things I love to do is go and watch people's interviews or sit downs, and because this is more like a conversational kind of situation. And I love to hear people's story and, pick up gems and jewels. I'm always learning. I'm always a student. And I was like, why don't I do a show like that? I have so many gems and jewels I give to younger actors and, business people, whatever. And I want other people as well who have had experiences where they have some jewels and wisdom and interesting stories. So there's a lot of people I'll never have on the show.
Yeah.
Not because of anything, negative,
No,
but just for the simple fact of like, no, I want real interesting people.
Yeah.
People with interesting stories. And see, beyond just the show, like I said, I've watched some of your interviews. I've watched your work. And I also follow you on Instagram. So I see some of the things you post. And I'm like, this dude is interesting.
Yeah, man. I try to keep it fun on the gram, man. And, but no, thank you so much for inviting me to do this. When you said it, I was like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. If the day is available, I'll be there, And it worked out. But I was really looking forward to this, and I think it's really cool, like you said, setting up just a conversation, because so many times it is kind of like I got a thing that I want to talk about, a show or a movie that I'm trying to do. And it's like,
press junkets are the worst.
Yeah. God,
you guys got the same 5 questions the other 20 people had?
Yeah. Let me just say the same thing over and over again for the next hour,
Right.
So, no, when you said, you laid out the format, and I was like, this sounds really cool. I would love to be a part of it. So.
Yeah, and, I decided this a while before this show was even conceived. Jamie and I, like I said, we worked together before on another show, and we not too long got to talking about. He shot another interview for me for a movie I did. It was 5th anniversary, and he brought this great idea to me, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. I've been wanting to do something like that, but I said, do you remember the first time we actually met in person? on season 2 of Hightown? Because we
It was
both actually
somewhere
work
in
on
the
Hightown.
trailers, right? It was I want to say it was like a passing moment in the trailers.
No, it was in front of the sound stage. You were coming to do. I was finishing doing an interview with the publicist, and you were next.
Oh yes, yeah.
And you came up, and you and I had never actually met at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by the way, I'm like guest starring, and I'm the side guy, but he's one of the mains. So I wasn't in season 1. We didn't have a relationship, before that. And then we didn't have any scenes in season 2 either. And so the only time we actually met was when you came up to do, they brought you in
EPK
the
stuff?
EPK stuff.
Yeah.
And you came up to me and was just the nicest guy. Now, mind you, in my mind, I've got the actor, the character I've seen you play.
Yeah.
And, you walk up, and because you never know, you know what I mean? Like how people, this business.
Oh, yeah, on the set, yeah.
You never know what people are going to be
all
like.
All kinds of personalities.
Yeah. And you came up, you were just the nicest guy, and, you introduced yourself and whatnot. And, I mean, you were just warm and welcoming. And I was like, well, that was a pleasant surprise. I was like, now I'm even more interested in this dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I do another show,
Yeah.
I've got to find a way to get him on. And it just so happens this all kind of came about while season 3 was being filmed here. And you said yes, so thank you again.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I want to first start off with, because I want the world to kind of get a taste of who you are, not Osito, but Atkins.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about your background, like your upbringing, where you're from, how, family life, kind of some of your story that leads to how in the hell do you end up wanting to be an actor?
Yeah, that story, yeah. No, yeah. I born in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. Both of my parents are from Haiti. When we came up, the first time I had any kind of experience with acting, or realizing that was a profession that you could have as a kid. And I was seeing, watching movies that, kids watch and being like, seeing child actors and being like, oh, this is somebody's job. Like, these kids are in this. And I was like, I'm entertained by it. It's fun. And I was like, but they get to do this as their job, right? And I remember being a kid and doing like a screen test when I was super young, right? But it was one of those kind of like scammy things where it was like,
we've been there.
Pay for classes and, pay for pictures, pay for everything.
We want to rep them for the low price of $9,000.
Exactly, and, just my parents didn't have that kind of money. Yeah. But my brother was at, we were in the Boys and Girls Club, and they had like a performing arts thing there, a wing of it called, and I'm about to mess this up, Lovewell, I believe it was. Or it's either Lovewell or Lovejoy. I always talk about this, and I can never remember the name. But
shout out to Boys and Girls Club.
Shout out to the Boys and Girls Club America. And but yeah, they had a thing where they were like, if you could do anything, if you can dance, if you can sing, if you can rap, if you do poetry, whatever it is, they would put on a show and a play and incorporate all of that into it, right? And my brother played piano. And but he also acted in these programs, and I went and saw it when I was a kid, and I was like, "Whoa," And I was a little bit of a showboat, clown, that sort of thing. The weird combination of wanting attention and wanting to entertain people, but also being shy at the same time.
You sound like me.
Yeah, like it was like when I wanted the attention, yes, I would do anything for it, but when I wasn't prepared for it, I was, deer in headlights, And but I saw my brother doing it, and I was just like, this is something I really want to get into. I went and did the audition for it. Totally bombed, right? Went in there, and the moment I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna show them that, and blah blah blah. And I went in a room from a table in front of a bunch of adults as a kid, and they're like, tell us your name, and I was like, just that little freeze up things that kids do, yeah. And the moment passed by, and I could tell in the moment, even as a kid, I knew I was messing up, right? I was like, there's no way they're going to put me on stage when I can't even tell them my name or do anything for them. They were like, literally do anything. And I was like, just sitting there, But I told myself after that, that if I ever had another opportunity, I would definitely go for it. I wouldn't let myself be the thing that kept me from something that really was something I wanted to do,
So you had this in you when you were a child. Like,
and maybe I didn't know how to quite apply it, but there's something that gave me life in entertaining people, seeing people laugh at a joke that I said, or dancing or doing something silly. You know, I was the kid in class that was always joking and cutting up. I was talking to somebody earlier today. I was a terrible student, one, because I couldn't focus, but also I just was so much more into entertaining my friends in class, you know.
You literally have my story.
Yeah. I was
You
always...
ran up on me, man.
I was like, let me do my homework.
That's my story.
Yeah. No, I was the guy in class
I was
that
a terrible student.
Terrible.
I was smart. But
Yeah.
I would ace end of grade tests. My teachers would be so pissed. Like, dude, you can do this?
Yeah.
What about the rest of you? I really don't care about this.
Could not. And they would always be like, it was always a thing like, oh, if only Atkins applied himself. You know, those kind of things. Every time my parents would come to a parent meeting, they'd be like, he's so smart. He's so intelligent. If he would just apply himself. And, but yeah, it wasn't super important to me, you know, like I might start off the year being like, I'm going to be a good student this time. And sure enough, I'd be back at it, you know, like freshman year, I failed every class. I was in summer school for the rest of my high school career because I did so bad my freshman year.
Dude, I graduated high school from summer school. Okay?
There you go. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My parents were pissed, man. They were like, and you know, because you got to pay for summer school every year, and I had to take as many classes I could take in the summer, and then I had to take a seventh period afterwards. So they were not happy with me, you know. But I was having fun at the time. I was laughing, you know, cutting up with friends. But that's just my personality, you know. And even still as an adult, that's something that I have now as an adult. I have to be more on top of those things, right? Not getting away, not having too much fun all the time.
Doesn't it suck?
Yeah.
Like,
you know,
this adulting shit.
This
like,
adulting stuff is the worst.
You're looking at little people because you have 2 children.
I
right?
have 2 kids.
Yeah, you looking at them like, God, I gotta be responsible.
Yes, I can't fool around and just not get stuff done like I used to back in the day. Back in the day, no consequences or not real consequences. Now, 2 people will be thrown to the wayside.
Right.
2 people's lives will be just shuttered if I just decide I'm gonna just play. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
So were you a theater arts kid?
I did. Okay. I was freshman year in school. I obviously I'm a big guy, right? And junior high or middle school, all of the coaches would come down from high school would come to scout kids from middle school, and they saw me and they were like, "Yeah, this guy, right? We got to get him into the weight room." So before we were even in high school, they had us after school going to the weight room to just lift weights, right? And obviously,
I know that trajectory.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ooh, they look at you like steak, like ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
They hungry eyes. They were like, yeah, him. But I was very much. I always tell people I'm like Ferdinand the Bull, huge, but I do not want to hurt anybody. Right? I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I don't want anybody to hurt me. So I did not do well on the football field, you know. But it was the kind of thing where all my friends were playing. Like everybody who I knew was going and doing this. So I was like, I guess I'm going to do it too. And we were terrible. I mean, there were kids on there who were good, but we lost every game. If we were on the freshman squad, we lost every game. And then after that season ended, they were like, well, if you want to stay conditioned, you got to wrestle. Wrestling's good condition. A lot of football players would go and wrestle. So I went and I wrestled once again because all of my friends were wrestling. And that wasn't for me either. And I immediately after that, I started doing theater, and I did theater for the rest of my time in high school.
They pushed me to basketball and almost killed my ass.
Nah, I was like, I stopped. I got off at the exit before all that. I was like, take me to theater, you know?
Yeah, I loved football. Played it. I did like hitting people, hurting people. That's why I always say I got karma. I got my knee cracked because I loved it.
Yeah.
And like my nickname was the Hitman. It was like he gonna break something when he
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah.
And I was proud of that till I got hit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was like,
So
wait
my
a minute.
knee got cracked.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
But I was also I was like a hybrid where I was the jock on the outside, but I was the theater kid geeky kid on the inside.
Yeah.
So my friends could never understand. I was that dude that would like look at the table where the so-called, the geeks or whatever were sitting. And when I would see people make fun of them, I'd leave the cool kids table and go over there to them and sit and talk with them. And they would, even then, they act like I was a celebrity. Like, what are you doing over here?
Yeah.
And I was like, why are y'all so excited that I'm over here? Because I was doing all the, trying to wear the latest stuff, haircut done, all that. Was like with the cool kids, playing ball. And so it was like, oh, he's part of that group. But then I would go over to them. But my thinking was always like, if my friends see me over here talking to them, and like I'm one of the big dogs, not all through high school, but it's probably like junior years when I really started to come into who I am. Yeah. And was just like, y'all gonna get whatever, version of me. Because, you try to fit in.
Oh, yeah. That's the high school experience, right? It's like basically trying to get through these 4 years, keeping your head low for the most part. Yeah. And, not having any kind of incident that's gonna, ruin you mentally for,
right.
Right. And, it's funny. I went back to my high school, and I often do go back to the theater to, when they have regional competitions for like one act plays. And the teacher there, who wasn't my teacher, but I've become familiar with, she'll be like, would you mind coming back and critiquing?
Is this still Fort Lauderdale?
No, this is in Georgia.
Okay, so you're in Georgia in high school.
Metro Atlanta. I went to a school called Berkmar. And they, every once in a while, the teacher, they do the one acts every year. And they're like, would you come and critique the shows? And I'm like, yeah, of course, I'll do that. But it's like I walked into there, and I was like, the first time she asked, and I was like, this place used to mean so much, and it means nothing. It was nothing to me now. I was like, it was such a weird feeling to walk into a building where I was like, I used to put so much gravity and so much weight on this place. And now I'm walking in here, and I was like, it was so weird. And that's not even like, trying to be like whatever. It was just, I was like, it's nothing to me. It's just a building. It's just a place. Yeah. But when you rewind to
high school period, it's your whole world.
Yeah. You build so much. Your attire, your haircut, who you talk to, who you associate with was so important in that time.
Everything.
Yeah. And then I walked in there as an adult, and I'm just like, it's just a place. Yeah. So weird.
Like none of that stuff matters.
None of it was important.
For those of us who went on to do something, there are some people who are like still, in their 40s, but they're like, man, 12th grade.
That was the best. That was the best.
That was the end. That was their highlight.
Yeah, that was the mountaintop. And I just like, I'm walking back, and I remember, and it was nothing. Not like, like it was. I had so many great memories, so many great friends I'm still friends with, but the building itself and all of what it is just another place.
But at the time, it was all you knew.
But yeah, absolutely.
So when you go on and you do other bigger things, it's pales in comparison.
The importance gets diminished.
Exactly. And it's supposed to.
Yes.
It's weird, y'all. It's weird.
Yeah, the people.
If high school is your highlight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you're just like, I found myself in a Facebook group for my high school, and the stuff that people was bringing up, and I was like, y'all still talking? It's like, remember when somebody got jumped in the bathroom, and I was like, we still talking about that?
Those were the days.
Yeah. Oh man, we went to that party, we got in a fight, and I was like, when you were 15,
right? It's like, gosh. You got kids that old now. Like, why are you still talking about that? There hasn't been
a more pivotal moment since then, But one thing that I did love about theater, and it's like you said, I felt like it was the one place where anybody in that school, no matter who you were, whatever you were associated, whatever group you fell into, you could go to the theater and thrive.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you were like, you couldn't do that in basketball. You couldn't do that in football. You couldn't do that in not every other club or thing could you just walk in and be accepted and have a place, right?
Right.
But in theater, you had everybody.
It was the misfits.
Yes.
It was the crazy thing about theater that I realized later, because I say it was the misfits, right? But when you get older, you realize we weren't the weird ones. We thought we were the weird ones. Everybody else was actually the weird ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were the creatives. We were the, I don't want to be like everybody else. We were the ones who get out in the world as adults and go create and build and become things.
Yeah.
And, but it's so crazy looking back and you're like, because I remember I used to lie. I fucking loved theater arts class. I looked forward. That was the only class
Best.
I looked forward to every day, right?
Yeah.
And or on the days that I had it. But you know, I'd lie to my friends like, man, you know, girls up in there, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And easy A, like I just show up, dog. Like, you know, and you know, I'd be in there talking to the honeys. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then here I'm in there doing Othello, and I'm all into it. And it was hilarious because I won my senior year, I won Best Actor.
Wow.
I still have that trophy.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a Best Actor trophy my senior year as well. Yeah.
Okay. See,
yeah.
So I'm telling you, stole my story, man.
I got the same little plaque.
Got the little Oscar.
Yeah.
And I'm still proud of it.
Yeah.
Even though it was, you know, such a minuscule thing. But I got it, and it was funny because my friends, you know, when they're doing awards, and they're like, Best Actor, you know, such and such, Dominic Santana. So all my friends were like, I thought you was taking it serious.
Yeah.
You had to be taking it serious.
Had to be.
Because they weren't coming to the plays and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
didn't tell them about it,
Yeah.
you know. And but I met, shout out to Vivian Wade. I love Vivian Wade. She was my theater arts teacher. She was the one, and I want to know if you have, I'm sure, you know, see if you have an experience in the same realm. Up until that point, of course, my mom was the one, because I was one of those kids also. I was a weird kid where I knew I wanted to do this as a child. My goal was, like, you know, I was telling my son, it's like, dude, when I was your age, I was like, I had my plan. I'm going to the NFL because I loved football. I was really good at it.
Yeah.
And that was before I had size.
Yeah.
And my plan was I'm going to go to the NFL. I'm going to become a superstar in the NFL, make millions of dollars because I know I'm going to be just a great superstar.
Yeah.
And I'm going to retire early after like 6-7 years and then parlay my fame into film.
Yeah.
And I got enough money to take care of myself while I build. I'm a kid thinking like this. So I've been thinking like that all my life.
Yeah.
And my mom thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Not crazy, but like, you know, you hear a kid and you like some of the stuff they say, you're like,
I'm gonna be an astronaut. I'm gonna fly
right.
like,
But she went, and it's funny because of that story you were telling me. I was thinking about a Oscar Mayer commercial. My mom, I was always talking about, you know, wanting to be in film because my family big movie buffs. My mom at the time, we didn't have, you know, a lot of money and everything, and, you know, everything was tight. Yeah. So our special moment, our, you know, staycation and all that was she cooked big meals and put on the newest movies when Blockbuster was still around. Go rent a couple of movies, some of the new stuff from Blockbuster, and we sitting around. Mom made a big meal. Yeah. She worked like 2 or 3 jobs most of the week, so we had that day where she would cook for real. Yeah. And we have dessert. Yeah. And watch these great movies. And it became it was a special thing to me.
There was magic in those moments.
Super magic.
Magic in the weekend when you would be like, oh, we're going to go to Blockbuster. And
exactly.
You know, sometimes like on special times, normally it'd be my dad would be like, between you and your brother, decide one thing you want to get. But there'd be a really cool time when my dad would be like, all right, each of you can get a movie. Right?
Oh, we balling.
Yeah, you know? And I was like, I mean, but yeah, very much the same. I mean, my parents both worked a ton, right? And that's kind of the immigrant story. Your parents come here and they hit the ground running and they just don't. And it's not to say that my parents didn't try to do other things. My dad would regularly take us to the park, do all kinds of things, but also he was tired and we were very much like latchkey kids, right? So we would come home and it's like the way that we would entertain ourselves was watch TV until somebody came home. So I think there was something about that steady stream of watching stories all the time, watching shows, watching television. Yeah. You know, watching movies like that, so much of our entertainment and our world was built upon watching these stories, you know?
And it was so magical.
Yeah.
Magical feeling. And in the midst of, I don't know, you know, the kind of areas you grew up in, but like the areas we grew up in, it was like in those moments we could leave those areas.
Yeah.
Be somewhere else.
I understand exactly what you're saying. In South Florida, I mean, it wasn't like the worst area ever, but my mom was very much like, and I didn't realize at the time, but my mom was like, don't ride your bike past where I can see it, right? Very much like stay in the yard, that kind of thing. And in our neighborhood, exactly, you know, in our neighborhood, I didn't think about it as a dangerous place, but my mom was always, I didn't realize at the time how she was trying to shield us from some of the things that were going around.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't the best neighborhood. And, you know, a friend of ours, my father was a taxi cab driver, right? Which is, if you're Haitian, you come to the States, you're going to be a cab driver. You're going to be something like that. You're going to drive a bus, or if you're a man. And if you're a woman, you're going to be like a nurse's aide. You're going to work in like a retirement home, or you're going to be working at a hotel, right? And it's just, those are the easy jobs that you can get to when you first get here, you know? And also, most of those, you don't necessarily need to speak English super well, right?
Yeah.
If you're cleaning rooms, you don't need to talk to anybody anyway, right?
Right. You just need to be able to clean room?
Yeah. Clean? No. Yeah. Yes. No. You know? So, yeah, both of my parents did jobs like that. And then I was thinking about it, that there was a good friend of ours who was murdered in our neighborhood, you know? So, but that wasn't something that
Same thing happened.
Yeah, you know, where I was just like, I didn't think about that. Even at the moment, I was like, oh, that's bad.
I'm starting to feel like you're the multiverse me.
Yeah. The multiverse is real,
like
man.
Literally, the same story.
Like, my dad drove cab with this guy, and he had a fare, and he picked the fare up, and they took him in the fare came to our neighborhood. Then the person shot him, robbed him. You know. So,
and my mom was a hospice CNA for a long time.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's the story is very similar, but yeah, they kept us from knowing that, and I wasn't something that until I looked back and I spoke to people, or you know, people who still lived in my area. Like, I had great teachers. I had this teacher, Mrs. Tompkins. Shout out to Miss Tompkins, Miss Hempfling now, but just an amazing person. One of those people who came to teach at a school that was in a neighborhood that was not in a great area. I remember she was telling us, she's somebody who I still keep in contact with. She came to my wedding, and this is like my second grade teacher, right? Came to my wedding and spoke to me and was like, and told me that basically when she came to the school, she didn't realize that the school was in a bad area. She didn't realize till she ordered pizza. And she
said, no, ma'am.
No. She tried to have a pizza party at school, and they were like, where are you at? Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School?
Oh, that's bad.
Oh,
Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. Like,
I hate to say
sadly,
it, but sadly, and Martin Luther King Jr. anyway, like the comedy.
Martin Luther,
don't do not. And that was the case, and she was like, oh, I guess this is a bad place. But she was also the kind of person where she would come and take us, like, with my parents' permission. She'd be like, yo, could I take them to, there was a go-kart place or Chuck E. Cheese, you know? Like, she was super involved in me and my brother's life. And like I said, to this day, she's somebody who I still keep in touch with, still, like, came to my wedding, has met my kids, that kind of thing.
She came to your wedding, dude. I'm telling you, you're the multiverse me.
Yeah.
Or I'm the multiverse you.
Yeah, we're one and the same, man.
I have, now mine was a little, I have never been married, so I didn't have one come to my wedding. But her name was Christian Hermel, my fourth grade teacher. I can't even hardly remember the rest of my elementary school teachers.
You always have those teachers that really mean something.
Exactly.
You know?
She was the most beautiful thing on two legs to me. I was aware of, like, my love for women early, right? Like, I wish I could find her. Yeah. Because I would like to apologize and sit back and laugh, because when I came out of her class, I had her for fourth grade, then I went to fifth grade. In that particular year, my school used to go to sixth grade, but they were like changing up things and trying some things. So then they moved us. We were all hyped about, now, you know, sixth grade, we gonna be the big dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they were announced it, like, so sixth grade is now gonna start at junior high, which was next door.
Okay.
Oh man. Yeah. But and this is what I was talking about. It's not like a serious thing, but the fun, because I look back at it and I was like, I know she had to be dying when I walked out of her classroom. Yeah. Laughing, because I grew a little bit in fifth grade. Because she was a short woman. Just, you know, short, beautiful woman to me, right? Yeah. And I remember getting ready to leave. It was the end of fifth grade. A few days left to school. Yeah. And I'm getting ready to go to junior high. And I legitimately went to her class, like, after class. Yeah. And because I used to go visit her all the time, so she didn't mind. Yeah. And I go to her class, and at this time now, we're like same height. Yeah. Right? She probably maybe like 5'3" at the time, 5'2", 5'3". And so now we're about the same height finally. And our last few days, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm going to junior high. You know, I'm a man now. Yeah. You know what I mean? In my mind, I thought I was really doing something. I'm going to junior high. You know, I'm a man,
Yeah, you might miss me.
You know how hilarious that had to be to her?
Oh, man.
But my point is with her, we live in like the hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember while I was in 4th grade and having her class, I remember I invited her. And it's like you said, when you're living in it, you're not, it doesn't seem like this crazy. You're just used to everything. It doesn't seem like some crazy, dangerous place to you.
No.
For outsiders who didn't grow up or grew up in the suburbs or something, they're like, you do not go to that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that, so I remember I had a birthday, and it was one of the only big birthday parties I ever had. And I was like, I'm going to invite, because I loved her. You know what I mean? So it was like a date in my mind. I was like, I'm going to invite Miss Hermel.
Yeah.
And so I invited her to come to my birthday party.
Yeah.
And she came.
Yeah.
And I remember the adults being shocked because she was very well put together. She didn't come from none of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was a fish out of water,
Yeah.
For her. And I remember I was pissed because she had a boyfriend and she brought him.
Oh, no. The dream is dispelled.
Yeah, I never forget. His name was Scott.
Yeah.
Scott, if you're listening, go to hell. Took my woman.
Yeah, damn it, Scott.
But he came and he was like the quintessential. His name was Scott, but he was more like a Chet. He had this dude shows up in the projects.
Yeah.
Because it was like in the middle of the little square of our apartments.
Yeah.
And, all the little ghetto kids, we all out there, we're crazy. He's got the sweater around the neck with the polo, the aviator glasses,
the loafers,
blonde hair, bowl cut, the loafers, the khaki shorts.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, even as a child, I was looking at that dude laughing because I was like, he is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like she came, brought a gift, but it was like, all the other gifts were like regular rap.
Yeah.
She went and got the expensive, beautiful rap. You know what I mean? Like what she was used to in her world.
Yeah.
And sits down at the table with all the ratchet people. Yeah. And she's all like well put together, clean, like clean cut, all that stuff, looking fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mr. Mel showed up. I'm on, son. I'm on.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize then they ended up leaving early.
Yeah.
I could tell by his face.
Oh, yeah.
They were not going to be there long.
What?
She's laughing and talking with everybody. And everybody's kind of shocked too. Like, all right, cool. Yeah. But everybody was he was just kind of like, this is beneath me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
are we safe?
Right. No, it was that energy. It was that energy. His energy the whole time was like, are we safe here? Yeah. And so I'm sure eventually she was like, oh, okay, Scott, let's just go, And, but it wasn't until later that I realized how big that was that she showed. Because she could have pulled him down, the beginning of the street.
Like, whoa.
Oh, no, this ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
No, she saw everything and still pulled up to the address, walked out there, saw the little ghetto kids running around.
Shouts out to the teachers.
All the ratchet parents, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And came and sat down and everything and, broke bread. And
that's major.
She did what she said she was going to do. Yeah. Except bring that food. Yeah. But she did what she said she was going to do. But the Vivian Wade, my theater arts teacher back to theater arts, she was the first outside of my mother. So my mom, she tried to entertain, my things I was saying. Took me to Oscar Mayer, audition. They were doing like a national, open call. Yeah. She didn't know what was what. She was just like, oh, saw it in the paper and was like, I'm going to take you. You keep talking about it. Yeah. They were like, he was actually great. He's just too big. Yeah. Like we want a kid. They wanted a kid that, those kids where they're going to be tiny for like 5-6 years and look like a kid all the way to 20. Right. So they wanted a kid that would look like that, all for years. Yeah. I obviously was not going to be that kid. Yeah. And so they were like, so they didn't pick me and I was down about it. But, I appreciated, even then I understood how much I should appreciate what my mom did. Yeah. But other than her, of course, your mom's into you could do anything, baby. You're talented, dream big. Yeah. But Miss Wade was the first time it was so good I went to theater arts because she taught me improv. And that became my biggest tool because I didn't know how good I was at improv until she taught me. And she told me, she said, if you learn improv, you'll always work. Oh, yeah. And I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. But I remember I was like you, coming to class, clowning every day. Clowning. I didn't want nobody to think I was really a theater arts kid and all that. So I'm clowning, having fun. I never forget So our school, shout out to Westover Senior High, Fayetteville, North Carolina is where I'm actually from.
Nice, yeah.
So our classroom, our theater arts classroom, at the time it used to be called the new building. Now it's the old building, but it was a new building.
Yeah.
And it was cool because they had a theater arts classroom where there was a hallway that led to the back of the stage of the auditorium, you know, on the stage. So we could come. There was dressing rooms back there and all that stuff. So we were going down that hall from one of the classes. She was so mad at me, and because I was just constantly clowning and stuff. And I remember she let everybody go down the hallway back into the classroom. We were leaving the back of the stage, back into the classroom. I was last as usual, clowning. And I remember she grabbed me by my shoulder and she turned me against the wall, and she stuck her finger in my face. And she literally said to me, she said, "You are playing games with something that you don't even understand." She was like, I know this doesn't make sense to you right now because you're a kid, but because she had worked in film and then went to and then went to teach college.
Gotcha.
And then she wanted to, you know, it was a short stint, but she had this idea of like, from what I remember, she had this idea of like, I want to go down and affect actors at an even, you know, rawer stage or more raw stage. So go to public high school.
You don't get more raw than that.
Yeah, she didn't stay much longer after we left. but so she had some knowledge and experience, you know, with the business. And she said, you have in the business what they call the it factor. She was like, no one knows what it is, but there's something about you people are going to want to see, or you'll garner attention just by showing up. But you're wasting it. She was like, I'm telling you, you've got something if you would just listen to me and actually learn what I'm trying to teach you instead of clowning.
That's major.
Right.
Yeah.
If you would just listen and learn it,
Yeah.
you will be surprised at where this will take you.
Yeah.
And I was like, she was like, look, because she was always mean to me because I was always interrupting her class. She was rightfully mean to me.
Yeah.
I think more so annoyed with me.
Yeah.
But she told me, she said, look, if you just give me 80% of your attention and put in the work, I'll give you the last little bit of class to clown around.
Yeah.
And I'll get off your back. And I was like, oh, whoa, you'll get off my back?
Yeah.
All I got to do is pay attention some.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
And learn mostly. And you'll leave me alone.
Yeah.
Because she was on me daily.
Yeah.
So she was like, yes, I will give you your time to just be a clown. Wow. And I was like, say less.
Yeah.
So then I did my part.
Yeah.
Started really paying attention, learning. But the more I started learning, the more I started falling in love with it.
Yeah.
And the more I started realizing, oh shit, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And she's teaching me good things. Like I said, taught me improv.
Yeah.
I got really good at improv.
Improv is, I talk to actors, so many actors now, and I was like, if you don't feel comfortable with improv, you need to get comfortable with improv. Because I can't tell you how many jobs where I've gone in the room and like, all right, let's just play with this.
Yeah.
And for some actors, that is like telling them to walk off the edge of a building. Like if they don't have the guideline of the script, of the words, they cannot live within whatever this is, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, but sometimes you need to see that you can, you know, do this without the guidelines, right? We can take the sort of bumpers off and really see what you can do. And then sometimes that's some of the coolest moments that happen is when you're just playing around.
Exactly.
Know? So if you don't feel comfortable with that, I mean, yeah, not to say that every actor who's out there who's killing it can do improv. But I feel like you got to set yourself up for the best. Yeah. You have to equip yourself the best in this industry, you know? And I'm like, if having that in the actor toolkit is, you know, going to help me, then I'm going to put I'm going to put everything I can in there to ensure that when I go into the room, nothing gets thrown at me that I can't deal with, you know?
See, for me, I'm the actor because I learned it so early. That was the first thing I learned was improv. And I was already like quick-witted anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it went right along with, you know, what I already kind of had. And so once I learned that, so I became the actor going to the audition room and they say, all right, let's play with it. Do your version of it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Have fun with it.
Do something different.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, it was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm that actor where it's like, oh, thank God. Release me. Unleash me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's funny you say that because it's very real.
It's super real. And more now because we've got to a place with the work where being real and grounded is super important. And when you don't necessarily have to walk the line of the words, right? I feel like those are some of the realest moments because you're not being more real when you don't have to worry about, well, what's the next thing I'm going to say? No, I'm going to just react. Yeah. I'm going to react to whatever you're saying, right? And obviously with the training, it's going to make sense. We're going to still be in the scene. But I feel like you don't get more real with somebody than when you're improvising with them, you know, because you have to get to that relationship quickly, you know?
Well, and it goes to the point of, it took me a while because I was, you know, when you start off being a day player and you don't have no power or nothing. So
say the lines and get out.
Right. Say the lines and get your ass out of here. So, you know, it took me, you know, I had to grow to get in positions where I didn't know how much power we actually did have. You know, I thought, you know, you're lucky to be here. Just shut up, do your job, like you said, and get the hell out. So I didn't know the collaborative side of how much, and I don't even like calling it power. It's our job. I always looked at directors and producers and the stars. They were like up there
on another level.
I'm just a peon, you know, here to do peon stuff. As I grew and got bigger roles, you know, I started learning, oh, y'all expect me to add my flair or my thing to this. And I never forgot I was doing a movie called Bolden, with the first version.
Yeah, I remember that project.
Oh, my God, that was...
It felt like it went for like
7 years.
Okay,
7, bro.
I was like, when I first heard about it, I was like, they still working on Bolden? Like,
bro, Bolden, I was so mad because I played... I forget the name, but I was an orderly in the. I don't know. I haven't seen the finalized version, but the original version was like a. Buddy Bolden was in an insane asylum with syphilis, had eaten his brain away and like other stuff, and he was in an insane asylum. And even though it was like 1930s, that was like modern day at the time, and things would happen that would give him flashbacks. And he'd go into his mind and go back in time, and that's how the movie would play out. Yeah. Then it would come back to present day, and then go into another story. Yeah. And so I was one of the orderly in that scenario. It was me, Viola Davis, before anybody knew who she was, and Anthony Mackie. That's how me and Anthony Mackie know each other. Yeah. He played Bolden originally. Yeah. And no one will ever see that footage of me, Anthony, and Viola. She played a nurse, and she was so sweet. She was good as hell back then.
Man, I have worked on 2 projects with Viola Davis, and I was lucky. Just like, but here, no, I never got to work with her.
Oh, I never got to.
I actually, I worked on that project. I don't know if you remember Lila and Eve. It was Viola Davis and J-Lo, right? And
I got kind of.
It was an A&E movie that they did. And I want to say that was, before that it was Get On Up. So I worked on Get On Up with her, but never had any scenes with her. Like saw her from a distance one day, and I was just like, but also on that set you had Octavia Spencer, you had Chadwick Boseman, I mean, I was sitting there just like, like in awe that I had even got it. Yeah. But one, you have all these monsters here who are just like. The peak of it, right? So I was trying to just be like, let me just be a sponge in that moment, but didn't get to work with her directly. Booked that A&E job, and had a scene directly with her, and I was like, oh, this is so cool, But and before that, they had a table read, and I got invited to come to the table read, and that was I was still pretty new and green and greener at the time, and I didn't know that when you do the table read that. The actors who are the stars will be there. So I walk into the room, and back deep in the corner, there's a lady wrapped in a shawl, head wrap, and I was like, I walk into, and I look, and I was like, oh my God, it's Viola Davis, but I'm trying to not act brand new. I'm like, I belong here. I need to be here just like everybody else. Let me not fanboy, right?
So see, when I seen her, it was just, who's this dope ass no name actress? Anthony too. He hadn't went to Marvel yet. He left Bolden and went and did Hurt Locker, which won an Oscar.
Yeah. Springboard.
Yeah, this is before Hurt Locker, before Marvel, all of that. Before Viola's big movies.
Yeah.
It's like early 2000s.
I was like, had Doubt come out? I think it was around the time that she was really starting to blow up, or really starting her ascension.
Yeah, I look back, I'm like,
You didn't even, didn't realize.
Can I please get the footage from her reel?
Yeah, I just need that, yeah.
Right.
But she, so I'm sitting in there with her and, all these other people who are doing this reading. I was just like, wow, this is super cool. And then all of a sudden, they have PAs in there, and it was like, as soon as she gets into the room, we're going to start. And I was like, are they talking about Jennifer Lopez? And we're sitting at a round table, and the only seat is right here next to me. And I was like, is Jennifer Lopez going to sit right next to me? And sure enough, she walks.
Are you married at the time?
No.
Okay.
So sure enough, she walks into the room, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's Jennifer Lopez. And she's wearing like sweatpants and Uggs, and is still killing like 90%.
Yes, Lord.
Yeah, I was just like, in my mind, I'm like, this can't be real. She sits right down, and we go straight into it and reading. And then there's a scene where she's reading with me, and she turns to me and looks at me, and I could
like,
all of the acting skill and ability just went out of the window, and I was like,
I'd have been the same.
How do I say the lines?
Yeah.
So we get done, and I'm like, okay. I go out, and I immediately call my brother, and I'm like, you won't believe who I was just in the room with, And it's just one of those moments when you're starting out that it's like, now it's like, that's not a big deal. Not that it's not a big deal, but it's like, I've been in places and rooms and on set with people, huge actors, right? But at that time, I was just like, it was one of those things where it's kind of like a milestone where it's like,
that's a beautiful time though.
Yes, it is.
Like when it's exciting
be running. Yeah, it's such a great time when you're just like.
Now I'm like, yeah, this is your ass.
Yeah.
But,
right? But
at that time, it's still magical.
And it's just like the possibilities are really unfolding in front of you where you're just like, I got to this place where I'm in these rooms with these people who I respect a ton. Yeah. Right? I'm on the right path. Because so much of the time I feel like as actors, you don't know when you don't. There's not a great bellwether for, are you doing the right thing? Right? Yeah. As in any other profession, I always say this, like if you're an engineer, you can expect, well, I go to school for this long, I get this degree, I go to this place. And
then you get a promotion, so you made it to another level.
Exactly, right? There's a manager who's going to say, you're doing a great job. That doesn't happen in acting. And any other thing. If you're a mechanic, there's certain things that you can tell you that you're doing a good job. Not with an actor. There's nobody going to come and be like, hey, Dominic,
that's the shitty part.
Yeah, you really... You deserve a role. Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
Right. There's no promotion. It's just you constantly prepare, and then your preparation and luck have to meet.
Yes,
somewhere.
The combination of so many things have to be right. Yeah, for you to get on a job. And I'll tell you the craziest thing, or a very frustrating thing that happened, and that kind of ties back to that whole Viola Davis thing, is that when I worked on that A&E project, and this is early on in my career, and I was like, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna get some footage from my reel, and it's gonna have like one of the greatest people on it. And I was like, I'm sitting there waiting, and the production was a mess. It just was, the wait that how sometimes you get to set and you have a wait, but I mean it was hours of waiting after going through hair and makeup, and I'm sitting in a honey wagon at this time.
Pause that real quick.
Yeah.
Saying that, have you ever been because I feel like almost at least half of actors have been in this scenario. Same thing. You went through hair and makeup. You're waiting. You've been there since, let's say, 11 or 12 in the afternoon. And then 10 o'clock that night, they're like, yeah, so we're not going to use you today.
That's exactly where I was heading for.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly what happened.
My bad.
No, yeah, I told you,
multiverse.
Yes,
multiverse.
I was sitting there, but here's the thing. I'm sitting there in the honey wagon. And by the way, just to show you what kind of situation this was, I was sharing a honey wagon, one honey wagon room.
Is that even like union legal?
It worked on this job.
Because a honey wagon is
actually,
shit.
Shout out to Scott Poitras. Me and Scotty P were in the same honey wagon, so I
never had to share a honey wagon room.
I had to step outside so he could change. And then vice versa, he would leave, finish changing, and then I could go
You can't change together. You're in a relationship if you're changing together.
It's like you changing in a closet if you're both in a honey wagon.
For those of you that don't know, honey wagon is where you start off. It's the first trailer you start off. It's a long trailer that has like 6, 7, 8 rooms for the day players, the peons.
Yes.
And
there's a bench.
There's a bench next to your toilet.
Yeah. Or it might be under the toilet.
You might have to lift the bench
bench
to use the toilet. But I can do this in the honey wagon.
Yeah.
And then it's like garage doors for walls, so they can open it or close it. So you hear everybody's conversations.
Oh yeah, there's
and
no anonymity.
No privacy. I call it the projects of the film set.
Oh man, but you're happy to be there when you get there, right?
You are.
Yeah.
Well, I was. When back then.
Back then. Now I see a honey wagon. I got on a job and they messed up my paperwork recently. I was a guest star, and they had me in a honey wagon, and I was like, no, I won't go back.
That happened to me on Hightown. My first day on last season, I was like, I will not come back.
I was like, contractually, I am supposed to be in 1/3 of a triple.
If I'm in a honey wagon again.
I told the lady, she was like, yeah. She was like, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. And I was like, yeah, get me back to where I'm supposed to be.
At least a triple banger. Like,
come on. But so me and Scotty P, we're in the honey wagon, and we're both. I think I don't even know if he got to shoot that day. But anyway, they called me and they're like, "They're ready for you on set." And this is the moment where I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And then they bring me to some holding on set, and then they keep me in holding for a while. Finally, it's time. I think it's time to go, and I'm like, "It must be getting time." And it's getting late. And then the PA or whoever it was who had brought me from where I was, they're like, "All right, that's a wrap." And then she comes out and she's like, "Hey, sorry, I guess we'll get you on the next one." And I was like, "What do you mean the next
day
one?
or the next project?"
The next project.
Wait, they just cut your scene on the day?
I have a credit because I booked it, but I am nowhere in that movie.
Wow.
And I was looking at her like, can you guarantee me another? The way she said it was just like, you're going to be back. We're going to do another movie, and they're going to book you. And there's going to be a role for you. I was like,
and this is a PA?
Yeah.
She can't guarantee shit.
Yeah, you can't guarantee anything. That's not like it was a producer who was like, I have another project that you're definitely going to be in. It was
a
PA.
the executives like, we're sorry, we got you.
Yeah, the way she said it, and as she was walking away, she was like, we'll get you on the next one. And I was just looking at her like, are you kidding me? Not to mention, I was just like, all the resources, everything it took to get me to that honey wagon. Yeah. And now it's like, and you don't even understand. And it was like, this was my world collapsing. And she was just like, damn. And I'm sure for her, she had a long ass day and she was ready to get up out of there.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I was just like, this job, this gig. That was one of those moments when you on the road, you take those lumps and you're just like, what am I doing?
So you didn't get to do the scene.
Didn't get to do it at all. Didn't even see her.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Again, multiverse. Yeah. I have a J-Lo story.
That's hilarious.
How I didn't end up working with J-Lo.
Yeah.
But I'll keep mine short because I want to talk more about you. Mm-hmm. But this was actually not too long ago, probably about 8-9 months ago. So there's a movie, I think it's called Mother, coming to Netflix. Should be coming soon. Mm-hmm. It's J-Lo. It's like, did you see Salt?
I did.
Where I think it's
with
Angelina Jolie. Yeah. It's kind of like a sleeper cell, like super agent. Yeah. It's kind of like that.
Got you.
And the funniest shit in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And I know you can understand this being a big dog like me, where I was sitting there, my agent's like, hey, you can do like your own stunts and stuff, right? And I was like, and being a big dude, you know what I mean? Like, the beginning of my career, they're like, we're not spending the money to go find a dude Joe size.
Yeah.
Can you do this? Yeah. And I was just like, well, it'd be cool that I can do my own stunts. So yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I've done plenty of my own stunts. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking like fighting, stuff like that. I can jump off something or fight, fight something. So that's in my mind is like common sense.
Yeah.
Do fighting stunts. I'm like, all right, so this is character. So when you watch the movie, so think of me, and then I don't even know who they casted, but there's a character called Tarantula. Yeah. I'm sure he's going to be vastly different than me, right? So you laugh when you see the movie.
Yeah.
So they were like, my agent was like, yeah, this is J-Lo movie. They want you to do it. I was like, okay, what's the character? It's like, his name is Tarantula. I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, am I working with J-Lo? He's like, no, you got fight scenes with J-Lo. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. This is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I'm in. It's J-Lo. Like, what are you talking about? I'm hyped. Been wanting to work with J-Lo, right? Yeah. And I was like, and then I get to whoop J-Lo's ass. And but then she, she fucks me up too. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because, she's going to know all the, the martial arts and super agent shit, right? Yeah. So me and her go back and forth, whooping each other's ass, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
Man.
I'm in. And I was like, Tarantula, that's a cool name too.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to be shooting in the DR?
Oh, wow.
Oh, I'm in there. I'm hyped, right?
Yeah.
So they sent over the script. I'm looking at this script. So all I saw the fighting scene first, right? They just got that snippet aside from that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this shit is crazy. I throw J-Lo through a wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And so I get the rest of the script.
Yeah.
I'm reading the script. I only read to that part where we're brawling, right? And her partner or whatever, her friend that, he busts into because we're in a bathroom, like a public bathroom fighting.
Yeah.
With stalls.
Yeah.
Right? You'll see the scene, unless they cut it, but you should see the scene in the bathroom stalls tearing it up.
Oh, of
right?
course, yeah.
Fighting
Like the Warriors.
trash and shit.
Yeah.
And so her friend busts in to help her. And so that's when I just slam her through a wall. And then I take off out the bathroom and run out the building.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool. Look at the rest of the script. So I'm reading what happens after he runs out of the building.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like a 10-minute chase. She hops out that wall and she comes flying out of the bathroom. We're running through the streets of Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a scene where I go flip over a car. I'm like parkour. I'm climbing shit.
Yeah.
I'm reading, I'm going, go back to my agent. I said, what in God's name made you think that I even have the ligaments to do any of that shit? Like when you said stunt, I'm thinking just the fighting.
There's like a
This dude's climbing buildings, flipping over cars, and like I can't do none of that shit.
No.
I said, and furthermore, even if I could do the stuff, we all know I'm 6'5".
Yeah.
We all know when we do it, even if we can do it, it looks way slower.
Yeah.
So it's just still not a good look. Why do you think you don't see The Rock doing parkour and a bunch of chase scenes? Because you could be running the same speed as somebody who looks like they're running fast, but with us, everything looks slower and more clunky. So that stuff doesn't work for us.
No.
But I'm like, but I can't do it.
No. They're like legit stunt man work.
Right,
Yeah.
like real. I said, no, they need a real stunt man who acts, not an actor who can do stunts.
Yeah.
And I had to pass on it. I was upset about that.
I mean, the thing, and what's funny is there were actors who'd be like, I'll do it. And then end up with like a broken leg or broken neck. And then it's like, all right, was it worth it?
Well,
like,
see, my problem was I knew, I thought about it.
Yeah.
But I was like,
it's like, what can I learn?
But I'm also a producer and writer, and I was like, it's real shitty to do that to a production.
Oh yeah,
and
you get to the set and they're like,
because I would have got to the set and they'd be like, all right, this is the part where you slide under the truck and you pop up and roll over the car, and I'd be like, yeah, I ain't doing none of that.
Yeah, they're like, wait a minute, what?
Like, we literally hired you for that. Like, this is what the character does. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I coached actors for a while at this place called Catapult Studios. Shout out Catapult. And I would tell the actors, I was like, look, do what you can actually do. Right. If you put something on your resume, I was like, do not say you can ride a horse if you've only been like on one of those pony rides. Because you're going to get to a set where they need you to really ride a horse. Yeah. Or, don't say you can ride a motorcycle when you only rode a scooter,
once.
at Panama City Beach, And now they want you to do some motorcycle stunts or something crazy. And either you're going to put yourself in danger or you're going to upset some people at a place where if you get to, like you said, if you get to set and now you're saying no, now it's money, right? And you never want in this business to cost people money.
Right. Because they'll feel like you're holding them hostage.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they know what it's going to take to kick you off, replace you. And then we're in the Dominican Republic.
Exactly.
You got to find an actor, fly them in, and hope that they
If they even do that, then they might have to do some workaround that's not even the shot wish list thing that they wanted to do.
Which is normally what they would do, but pissed off doing it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm like, you got to make sure that whatever they're asking for, like if they say they want you to swim, you got to be able to swim because then so they got you out in Lake Lanier, and all of a sudden you are like, well, I'm okay at swimming, and I'm like, no, you got to be very honest.
What you said?
No, that is not what
they will not. They will not hire you again.
Oh
if
no!
You pull that shit.
Yes. Any job in their orbit, they will make sure that you do not get a job on.
And they all talk to each other.
Yes.
And bunch you never know. It all mixes and mingles on new projects.
Oh, yeah. The world and the film and TV industry is much smaller and getting smaller all the time.
Yeah. So for me, it was, I could have had the money. I could have got the job and done that, pulled that number. But you got to think business. It's something I always say. Never let short-term money fuck up your long-term money.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those are one of those business decisions, like you said. You have to be smart and think about, okay, even if you need the money right then, you got to be smart and say, I know I can't do the job that they need. It's not fair to them.
No, yeah.
And you're just going to end up looking stupid.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be banned from working with them.
Absolutely. And I'm just like, there's been jobs definitely where I was like, man, I had to sit there and think about it. And I was like, you know what? It's just not worth it. And the thing is, there's always another job. Yeah. You know, like you don't have to, you know, and then we don't feel that way when we're in it, right? Especially when you're starting off and you're trying to build your resume, you're trying to cut your teeth, and you're just like, gosh, I got this, I got to do it, I got to. And I was like, man, there's power in saying no. There's power in passing, and you know what's for you is for you, right? And that's something that I've become in the place where I am now. I'm very comfortable saying no to stuff, you know. And that wasn't always the case because I just wanted to work so bad, and I still want to work, but I have a family. For me to leave out of the house to go do something, it has to make sense for me. Right. And that's not always the case with all the jobs now. And also, it's just, you know, some jobs I'm like, I get there and I was like, it just doesn't make sense for me. Not even like if it's like a thing that I can't do this, you know, like for instance, like that, if it was a thing where I was like, I can't do the stunts or whatever, it wasn't even that. It's just like certain jobs, I'm like, is this moving me forward in the direction of where I'm trying to head?
Well,
right?
that was the next thing I was going to say, where you get to a point where you're like, I have a career, like an actual career.
It's a legit career.
Because you get from the surviving point, like, you know, here and there.
Where your back's constantly up
against
the wall.
Exactly. And then you get to that point where you look up and you're like, oh, shit, I think I can officially call this my career. Yeah. Then you start thinking about what's my trajectory. Mm-hmm. You know, what am I? Because money will start coming. People will be like, yeah, so I got this bullshit movie. Yeah. But we're gonna pay you $20,000 for 2 days of work. Now that's say like $20,000 for 2 days of work. Yeah. But then you look at it and you're like, the budget is $80,000. Yeah.
Yeah. So
so I'm gonna get that 20, but it's gonna be some trash.
Oh yeah. I always tell people when you get on set, look at craft service. Yeah. Craft service can tell you a world about what kind of day you're about to have. If you get over there and they got like a fun size, they got the fun size candy bars and there's maybe some Dunkin' Donuts or something, and they ordering dinner from Moe's, you about to have a rough day on that set. Yeah. For sure.
And all the snacks are the store brand snacks.
Exactly. Yeah. When it's just like somebody set up a picnic table and they're just like, help yourself. Right. You about to have a rough day. You know?
So what was you left from high school. Mm-hmm. Did you go to college?
I did, but not right away.
Okay.
When I left school, I was actually in a band and I thought I was going to be a musician, right? Mm-hmm. But it was leaving school was such a tough time, and I think it's the same for most kids. It's just like there's all this pressure about knowing where to go and what you do, and you're just looking at all these people, and it's like, I'm going to this school. I got accepted to UGA, and I'm going to here. And I had
like me. Yeah. I didn't like that school experience.
No,
I don't want to keep doing this.
No, yeah, I was like, we just got out of here. We got to go to another one. You know, right. It's like no,
I didn't enjoy that one.
Yeah, no, I was like, I made it out by the skin of my teeth. I was like, and then now I got to go straight back to a harder school. No. Yeah. So, I was, after school, I was playing in a band with some friends, and I thought that that's what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And eventually, I realized that just wasn't my passion, you know. And
what did you play?
I played guitar.
Were you good?
Not as good as one needs to be to make your life off of it. And I quickly realized that, too. And also, you know, at the time, I felt like it was all of us. We were like, we just started going in different ways and doing different directions. You know, we're still cool and still friends, but it was just like the band thing wasn't it. But, you know, I had a lot of friends who were in theater still. Mm-hmm. And I'd go see their shows, and I was like, there's something here. There's something still. And then when I left school, a lot of people were surprised that I didn't pursue something in theater. Mm-hmm. You know, I became a thespian. I went to thespian conference, and you know, a lot of people there, that's where you go, you do your, where you try to get a scholarship to a theater school. If you do a monologue or something like that, and I didn't prepare. Being the guy I was like, you know, when everyone else that I knew who wanted to go continue on as acting were like, oh, you know, this is the time to try to go get your scholarship. And I was just like, and I was on a technical path at school, not the college prep. I don't know if that's how they set it up at the time. That they've since done away with this. But when I was in school, either you on college prep or you're on technical path. And if you're on a technical path, you could still go to college, but it was a little bit more shit you had to do, basically, right? And I was just like, okay. So I was like, am I even going to be able to do this if I got a scholarship, you know? So I was like, I didn't mess around with it. But yeah, after getting out of school, I worked for MARTA, which is like the transit authority in Atlanta, which was a life-changing experience. Doing customer service for a public.
Were you driving a bus?
I was doing customer service. I was the guy at the gate, and we had just changed over from tokens to the card system, like they use in New York and a lot of the other more advanced systems. Yeah. You load up your card and you tap it to go through the gate, and that was a huge shift because MARTA basically put the system in because they had been losing so much money, right, with the tokens. And they were like, all right, we get this Breeze system, we'll be able to recoup more revenue. And because and there were some, when they put the machines in, the new machines in, there were people who showed up to the stations who had just been used to riding for free because of the way, who got there and were looking around like, what's going on? Like the gates, I was like, they changed everything. And it was like, what? Because the old system was the old turnstile system. And these people were used to getting over on this thing, and now the new system, they were looking like, "What? You got to get a card? What's going on here?" And basically the customer service reps were the changeover in this transition. And basically during that time, you were catching a lot of hell. People were cussing you out left and right, and I feel like, if you've been used to riding for free,
driven by it, and it's a cluster.
When the buses drop off, people are coming in, and then the machine.
And nobody looks happy.
No. And also, this is a bit of a trial phase. These machines are messing up. They are eating people's money up. And then you imagine you put a $20 bill in, and it doesn't give you anything. It doesn't load your card. And then I have to tell you that you need to go to a station that's far away, and you have to sign. I'm going to fill out a form for you. Got to take the form and get to the station, wait in line, and give them your money back. Not to mention, the machine gave you change back in Sacagawea gold coins. And people would put a big bill in there, and it was like a casino, and they'd be looking at me and they think it's tokens, right? I had so many arguments. I got cussed out so much at that job, but I felt like it was a learning experience because, I'm like 21, 22, just experiencing life here. I'd never had any kind of situation like that. And, as an actor, these experiences that you take, or at least for me, I fold that into what I do. So all of these crazy experiences I had at MARTA were just like, at the moment, I was like, this really sucks. But I was like, but also it's character building, right? Yeah. I did that for a while, ended up getting laid off, right? And which had me so hot. But then I was like, yo, this is actually kind of an opening here. I get a severance package. And this is right around the time the industry started to blow up in Atlanta. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that severance and I'm going to go take classes. I'm going to go. And I could never do, I couldn't be an actor and work at MARTA because you know how it is. You need to be flexible. One day, the next day you do an audition, maybe you book it and you need to be ready to work within a few days or so, right? I have to
you got a callback.
Exactly.
I took this day off for the audition. And hey, you need to come for a callback tomorrow.
Yeah. I had to put in PTO anytime I wanted to take time off, and I had to have enough PTO stored up to take the time off, or it was just me taking a day off and just not getting paid, not getting nothing, Yeah. So when I got laid off, I was like, yo, this is a blessing in disguise. And I just took that, and I was like, I took the severance that they gave me, and I just went and took every class and workshop and did everything I could to be like, yo, I'm doing this now. I have a golden kind of ticket right now to where I can just use these resources to try to get me to where I'm trying to go.
Which is smart.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people don't. You gotta understand, people who are out there watching. Sometimes things happen that you can't see why they happen. Everything. Who was it that said it? I can't remember, was it Jay-Z? I'm sure other people have said it too, but the saying of things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And I had to learn that over the years that there were things I look back on that seem so horrible, so just, inconvenient. But then when I look at what happened afterward, and it's just taking something and going, okay, how do I make the most out of this now?
Yeah.
Or what new direction can I go? and then see what happens. And it's almost like fate, you know, the universe, God, whatever you believe, will walk you. It's like, as long as you just follow the path. Yeah. And things will open. Might not make sense.
No, yeah.
At first.
Yeah.
But just walk it.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised in the end. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I was heated when I first got laid off. And I was like, this isn't my career. This isn't a job I want to do for the rest of my life. But when they said you got laid off, I took that personal. I was like, what? You know? It was a union job, and the union didn't do anything to protect my job. I was like, this is BS. But then I started sitting there, and I was like, Atkins, this isn't what you want to do. This is not the end of the road for you. This was not, you didn't get, I started this job just to make money. Just to, you know, cover bills and stuff. But I wasn't like, this is making designs that this was going to be the rest of my life. So I had to have a moment and be like, no, this isn't a bad thing. You know, initially you get that feeling, and in that moment you have to sit down, and there's always those moments where you have to sit down and take everything into account and be like, what's happening right now? And what am I going to do? What's my next move? You know?
Right. So you took that opportunity, you started taking classes, learning, prepping yourself. What, after that point, was your first job? Like your first real job?
My first,
I'm talking about community theater.
No, yeah. My first job was I booked a Ford commercial, and I've talked about this in interviews before. My very first job, when I got with my agency, I booked a Ford commercial, and my brother was my agent at the time.
Oh, really?
My brother was my agent, and still is, and in the Southeast, he still reps me, but I have reps in New York and LA now. But he called me. He was excited.
Now, was he an actual agent, or he just started being an agent?
No, he was an actual agent. He worked at People Store in Atlanta, right?
I was with People Store.
Yeah.
Years back, they could not do nothing with me.
Well, did you? I mean, was it then when Jen was over the commercial department?
I had Brenda. Paul.
Okay, yeah.
And when I say they couldn't do nothing for me, not that they were useless.
No, yeah.
It was just it was the hardest time figuring out, what do we do with this light skinned 6'5" NFL linebacker looking dude with no record, not record, but no fame or no notoriety yet. Yeah. And it was just so, because there were people working great. People Store had a good reputation then. Yeah. But they just could not figure out what to do with my big ass.
And I always tell people, you got to find what's the best fit. You know, being at the biggest agency in the Southeast isn't necessarily the best fit for you or your career, you know?
Right.
People always come to me and they're like, I want to be with People Store. People Store's the biggest or whatever. And I was like, People Store's a great agency, but it might not be the great agency for you, you know?
And you learn that as you go along.
You do, absolutely.
You kind of do have to find your fit.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes time.
It really does, yeah.
So you got the Ford commercial.
My brother was working as a junior agent in the commercial department. So he calls me up and he's psyched. He's like, man, you got it. I was like, and we both on the phone. We like, yeah, finally I got one. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to email you the details later, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, proud of you. And I'm like, yeah, man. And I get off the phone, I'm about to call my dad, because for me, my parents are both, like I said, they're immigrants. So when I'm
Haitian immigrants, I know this is probably insane to them.
Like, the concept of it is wild. But
your dad's always like, I told you we should come over to America, so you didn't believe me. Look at the boy now.
They were all about it now. But before, when I first told them, I was going to be a musician, they were hot. And that softened the blow when I said I was going to be an actor, right? So, but this was a huge moment for me, because I was like, I had this thought, like, my parents made this huge sacrifice coming to this country to try to give me a better life. Did I squander that? Or am I squandering that by doing what I'm doing?
That's funny, because my mom wasn't an immigrant, but I watched all the sacrifices she made raising me and my brother and sister. Yeah. And that's something that's always been in the back of my mind, is I'm very cognizant of not wasting her sacrifice.
Absolutely.
I always felt like a little bit of that pressure. Even to this day, I'm always like, that means something. Yeah. That's somebody's life and time and effort. I never want to squander it.
Exactly. They didn't come here and have the opportunity that I have to follow my dreams.
Right.
They had to come here and, like I said, hit the ground running and
set the foundation for you.
For me. Yeah, exactly. So I'm sitting here, and there was many a moment when I was just like, I was living at the house. I'm just looking like, I was almost like avoiding my dad. Like, it was like, of my mind, and I
We all
was
been there.
yeah, like I'm like afraid to even ask him, like, are you disappointed in me? You know, like am I? I'm sitting here like, God, he must be like, what are you doing? And but now I finally booked the job, right? I did this off the path wild card thing, and now I have something to show for it.
Yeah.
I called my dad, and before I can even finish getting the words out, my brother's calling me back, and I'm like, all right, hold on, this might be something important. And then I get on the phone, and I could just hear in his voice something's wrong. And he was like, yeah, man. He's like, there was a budget issue with the commercial, and they had to cut one of the actors. One of the 4 or 5 actors that they booked, I was the actor that they cut.
My God. So you
First job. And I was like, are you kidding me? Right? It was demoralizing. I was
Wow.
on the floor. I was just like, you can't win. I was like, this industry is the worst. Why did I choose to do this? You know? That was a hard, but I made it past that moment. And that also told me that I was in the right place. Because I was like, if I could take a hit
That's
like
what it
that,
takes.
yeah, and get up and keep going
That's what
and
it
have
takes.
that desire, even in the moment as I was sitting there being like, I can't do this. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's too hard. You can't win. But there was still a part of me that was like, you're not going to give this up. You're not going to let this go.
And it's funny you say that because the advice, and some people are like, man, that's cold.
Mm-hmm.
But it's for a reason. And when people come up to, because I'm sure you get this now too, you know, because now, you know, you're recognizable. And so people come up to me and they're like, hey man, I want to try the acting thing. First of all, when you come up to me and say, I want to try the acting thing, I'm already, the conversation's over.
Yeah.
Because it's not an acting thing.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? But you get those people, and then you have people that are like serious, like, I'm an upcoming actor. You know, is there any advice you can give me? And I said, yeah, go find something else to do. My answer is always, go find something else to do.
Yeah.
Every time people ask me, and some people are like, well, damn.
Yeah.
And they'll walk off.
Yeah.
But it's the ones who go, I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for it anyway.
Absolutely.
And it's like, you're the one
Yeah.
who these jewels and this wisdom is for.
Yeah.
I will tell you whatever you want to know.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need that. And it was like, it's going to be rough.
You're gonna take some beatings and some lumps on the road that you would be like, I had some like that one. I was just like, I don't know that I'll recover from this one. The very first thing I got, you know. But it also, yeah, like I said, I was like, okay, I took a pretty bad hit there, but I still want to do this, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I all the time now, people are hitting me, getting me on Instagram, you know, hey man, you know, I wanna, and I'm just like, I had a different approach. I would run down, when I had the time to do it, I'd run down a huge list of things, just a crushing list of all the things that I did. And I was like, and if they sat through all of that and was like, yeah, okay. Because sometimes I send them like, oh yeah, okay, you got to do this class, you got to go this place, you got to get your headshot, you got to train with this person, you got to take this workshop, you got to get an agent. It's kind of hard to get an agent. You know, not all agents want to see people who are green, so maybe you have to start with like a smaller agency. You may have to do some extra work. You might have to go to an independent thing, maybe go to SCAT. And I'm saying all of this stuff. And there'll be people from my old job, from MARTA, who hit me up. And they'd be looking at me like they were expecting to be like, hey, I want to act. And I'm like, yeah, give me your resume. I'll take it to the director. Right? I'll take it to the producers and be like, this is a friend of mine. I was like, this is not like any other job where I can just bring your resume.
McDonald's, bro. Like,
and be
it's
like,
the homie, you know.
Yeah, give him a line.
Yeah.
Y'all got just like a one-liner y'all can give my friend. Like, it's so weird. But,
yeah, I love them people. It's like, hey, man, next time you do a movie, man, hey, yo, put me in a role, man. And you have to explain to people, dude, I am not a casting director.
Yeah.
I have nothing to do. When you see me in movies,
I'm
nothing
a
to
hired
do.
gun.
Right.
Yeah.
I have nothing to do. They hired me.
Yeah. So I'm going to be like, I had to fight to get myself on this set. Now I have to figure out a way to just slide you in,
It's
you
like,
know?
brother, I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
Like, because I would tell people, hey, next one.
Yeah, I got you.
Jamie
Yeah.
Foxx. The next one, bro, slide me in there, bro.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I was like, but that's the thing is like when you get on and you start having the success, people see that, but they don't see all of the auditions, all of the no's, all the times that it just doesn't go your way as an actor, and literally and stuff that's just completely out of your control. Like I couldn't affect the budget. I did everything in my power as an actor.
And that's the worst when you do. You're like, I did all of my part.
All of my part. Every step of the way. The callback, the whatever. I did everything, and they gave me the job, and they just realized later on that they didn't have the money for me. So
And what you were seeing
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
was what you would learn later is beyond the magic and the, oh my God, I'm here. The business of
the
it.
business
The
of acting.
business is some cold shit.
Oh man, the business is
When I realized
heartbreaking.
that part,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is the reality.
Yeah.
Well, this is a cold game.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I always learn something from jobs that I work on, but I think I've talked about this before, that on the set of Get On Up, the James Brown movie, which was a movie that was criminally underviewed, right? It's
Yeah.
a great movie.
I agree.
There's a part in the movie, and I don't know if this was like a legitimate James Brown quote, but I would be very surprised if it's not. It's not something that he said at one point in time. But he says, you can't just be the show, you got to be the business too.
Yeah.
Right? You have to understand that side of the world as well. I mean, because if you're just going there and preparing for a performance, there very much becomes a time where performance becomes almost a secondary thing.
Yeah.
And it's like your knowledge of how to move in these business negotiations becomes more of the important part of the job, which is weird. Because we all start off, and there's nobody that necessarily trains you for that. There's no
Not
class
at
where
all.
you could go where it's like, hey, tell me how to deal with my agent, how to my man, all this stuff. You
In the
know?
beginning, agents just tell you, just let me handle it.
Yeah.
You worry about acting.
Yeah. What's the right price? What's
Right,
a
exactly.
fair
So you don't
rate?
even know if your agent is doing right by you
Yeah,
until you
yeah.
get more experience. You
Exactly.
don't know what's supposed to be what.
Yeah. And
Hey,
just
Atkins,
Yes.
before we call this a close,
Yeah.
what would be your dream role?
you know what? I grew up watching like old back in the day action movies, like like the Dolph Lundgrens, the Jean-Claude Van Damme, like those old movies for guys who like movies, right? That's the kind of stuff I watched as a kid, Terminator and stuff. So I have a very much nostalgic and love for old action films, and I would love to be in an action movie. Right, but when you're a big guy, like like I am, it's like if it is, it's almost like a comedic thing. And I was like, no, I want to be jumping over cars while I shoot. I want to bust through the door with the AK and it not be a joke, like it's a real thing. So that would be. I mean, I love it all, but for sure, there's a part of me that's like, I want to be, and it doesn't even have a great script, not even a great story, just a ridiculous action movie.
So how do you feel coming back all the way to where you are now with both? Have you been on Lodge 49 longer or Hightown longer?
Hightown.
Okay.
Lodge 49, unfortunately, ended after its second season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say Hightown's your biggest role?
For
or
sure.
like your most prominent
For sure.
role? How has that affected your life? Because I don't know about past work, but I know having been there myself, there's a point where you get that project where then you're going out and you realize, I can't move like normal.
Yeah, Hightown has been.
How was that transition for you? Especially because people see you.
Yeah.
Well, me the same way.
Yeah.
They saw me. I was a little like I was known to black people for a while.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I wasn't mainstream.
got the black people celebrity factor.
Right. And all black people knew me.
Yeah.
But then, like when I did All Eyes on Me, worldwide theaters, the subject matter, and then it's white, Hispanic, Asian. Like I was like, oh shit, like I'm known for real.
Yeah.
But they knew me in a certain way.
Yes.
And so the same thing with you. You're right now. You have a popular character on a hit show.
Yeah.
But it's such a difference from who you actually are.
It is. Yeah.
But I'm sure people don't come at you like Atkins. They come at you thinking Osito.
There is
How
a
was
lot
that?
of that. First off, this role has changed my life. Like, it's just been huge for me and for my family. But yeah, it has been a little different, and more so after the second season. The first season premiered during COVID, so that was just really weird.
Yeah.
But the second season, I think I found myself like I was at Publix around the street corner from my house, and a car whips up in front of me, and a car whipping up in front of me. It's nighttime, and I'm thinking, oh, they got me. I was like, I'm about to get sprayed. Like I was like, I don't know what I did or who I did it to, but they finally caught up with me, and there was like, oh, Cito. And there was this woman, and she was like, I saw you, and I was like, I told my brother to go by there, and I was like, oh, okay, hey, thank you for watching the show. And immediately, okay, after the initial, oh my God, my heart rate comes down. I
Yeah.
thought I was about to be killed. But then I was like, this is really close to my house. Right? I had this moment of just like, this is kind of odd, you know, and it's like a weird thing where it's like, there is sort of this creeping into your life.
I had to move.
Yeah.
I had to move after, not even when we fit, like when All Eyes on Me came out, because it was Tupac, the buzz was heavy us starting the film.
Yeah.
Like, I legit had to move in the midst of filming because I was like, okay, can't be around it, because the press was going everywhere constantly.
Yeah.
And so it was like, wow, like, yeah, you got to like move to areas like, you know who I am?
Yeah.
No? Oh, perfect.
Or now when I have a conversation with people, because season 1 was the first time that somebody recognized me from Hightown. And it was at this same Publix. And I was sitting there, and it was, you know how it is, with somebody that's looking at you too long. And then he came over, and he's like, man, you know who you look like?
Do you forget? Because I forget.
Sometimes I'm not even thinking about
I'm like,
it.
can I help you, player?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I just love you, work me. Oh, shit. Damn, my bad. Yeah, I forget.
I was just like, this guy, you know, I'm more of just like the low key. Like, I was just like, is he looking at me? Like, because he wasn't trying to stare, but he was looking. And I was like, he came over and he was like, man, you know who you look like? You look like that guy from that show. And they always mess up the name.
Yeah, that's
like,
annoying.
What is it? High Water? I was like, you mean Hightown? He's like, yeah.
You look just like you.
Yeah. He's like, is that you? And I was like, yeah. He's like, man. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I live around here.
That's the
like,
next question.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. What are you? And I was like, and then I was like, I probably should stop telling people that I live around here. You know?
That's the worst too, when you have your spots you go to. Then after a while, you're like, okay, I can't keep coming here.
Yeah. It hasn't been bad yet. Like, you know, I went to Disney with my kids, and there was probably a person in every park who was like, Osito? You know? And they're always like, I can't exist in a real world. I was in a Mexican restaurant one time, and he was like, is this really happening? Are you really here? And I was like, it's not a dream. I'm here, you know?
Yeah.
But, and like I said, it doesn't happen at a rate now where it's annoying, right? Like, I was like, I can still go out with my family. I can still go take them to Disney World, and it's not crazy. But it has, on the whole, it's been positive.
Good.
Right? Like, it's been a good thing. Nothing crazy has happened where I was like, this sucks, you know?
Yeah.
And also, like I said, in business-wise or career-wise, when we're talking about having a career now when I go into the room, the producers, the creatives in the room have seen my stuff.
This
right?
is a wonderful feeling.
You know what? I don't have, you know what, as an actor, you go into the room and you're feeling like, I got to fight. I got to win these people over. I got to show them what I do, what I bring to the table. And now I'm coming in and it's like, they're like, oh yeah, we've seen your materials. We love Hightown, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know, what can you do with this? Right. Mm-hmm. Which is a whole different place to be playing from. Right.
Definitely.
And I'm sure I wouldn't have that had it not been for Hightown, you know? So the change there are certain things that I'm still figuring out certain things. There are certain parts of, you know, this, like I said, this creeping thing that's happening that I'm still having to figure out and still learning. But on the whole, it's been a positive experience.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Unfortunately, we got to wrap this up because we could do this all night.
Yeah, man. I was stuff just popping in my head.
I know it's so many different things.
Yeah.
But you know, again, it's such a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
I knew this would be a good sit down, so I'm glad we were able to work it out.
Yeah.
And thank you for, you know, kicking off the first episode of the show.
I'm glad to be here, man.
You are kicking it off.
Yeah. I'm glad to be the first one.
So yeah, and so before we head out, first of all, let everyone know where they can reach you on social media.
So Atkins Estimond, or at Atkins Estimond on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow me on I have like a Facebook account that's also set up, but we know who's on Facebook, right? Twitter and Instagram, Atkins Estimond. That's where you can find me.
And is there anyone you'd love to give a shout out to?
I'll give a shout out to my wife, my kids. I'm looking forward to getting home. I've been here working for a while, so love you guys, and I'll be home soon.
All right.
Yeah.
And one thing I always want to do with this show moving forward is to leave people with a little bit of wisdom. So especially because you're such a great actor and you've gone through this process and have experienced great success, what is one thing that you would tell upcoming actors, the real ones, upcoming actors, a little bit of a gem you can drop on them that could help them along the way?
I would say two things. One thing I always say is never give up. Right? Like I said, when you take those beatings that literally knock you to the ground, if this is what you really want to do and you're honest with yourself, that's the thing. We have to be honest with ourselves. Get up and keep on going, because it's not, if you look around on television, not every actor is the most dynamic, amazing, talented, gifted actor, but they definitely didn't give up on what they were trying to do. And I'd always say, know what it is that you want to do, right? Because when you're building those things, like building your team, finding your agent, finding your manager, you would be best served to have people around you who understand exactly what it is that you see as the vision for your career. Because if you don't know what you want to do, then you are relying on other people to figure that out for you, and you're going to find yourself nowhere near where you want to be because you don't know what you want, right? And leaving that up to other people, you're going to find yourself doing work that you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Because your agent is going to get money, right? Yeah. And that means putting whatever job in front of you they can, right? And I'm at a place now where I'm like, I know what I want to do, and I know the kind of roles that I want to be auditioning for and working on, and the whole team is aligned in that. So when I see stuff coming through, pretty much 99% of the time, it's exactly in the vein of what I'm trying to, or where the direction I'm trying to head in. So for young actors, even, or your new actors, when you're starting out, you might think like, oh, well, that's not something I need to figure out. No, you need to already be thinking about where you want to go, because if you leave it up to somebody else, you might see yourself in a place you don't want to be.
Yeah, so know where you're going. You heard it from the man himself. Yeah. Have a vision from the beginning and push toward that vision.
Absolutely.
So thank you again so much for joining us. Make sure that you catch up on Hightown Season 1, Season 2, and get ready at some point for Hightown Season 3. I can tell you from the little bit I do know, it's going to be crazy. And this man gets into a whole heap of shit. Yeah. So he turns things up really high.
Yeah.
So, and we look forward to seeing you next time. So thank you guys for rocking with us. And this is the Dominic Santana Show. Jamie, you going to say goodbye to the people?
Bye to the people.
We'll see you guys next time.
Zombieland, your presence required in Zombieland. So welcome to Zombieland. These zombies is always a part of their grave. Walking around, fronting and stunting redundant, but looking real lame. Nobody believing you, people deceiving you, leading you on with this nonsense. Hate me to dumb if you're dreaming, you already dead and it's only your conscience.